ReAnn Ring is here today, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a joy to be here, always.
Always good to see you. Now, tell us what you've been doing. I told her that you were a jack of all trades.
I'm sort of I'm a media junkie. So what happens is anything I do with media makes me look very, very diversified. I can't help but keep my hands in a lot of different pots. But I teach a lot on social media. I do a good deal of publicity for several different types of talent, such as anything from music to authors to film. Got a fabulous couple of films that I've been able to do a little shout out for. Awesome. Such an honor and a blessing.
Tell us a little bit about that film.
Well, okay, so we get to talk about the film. Okay, I get to talk about the film a little bit. It's right on the edge, so I have to talk about it. All right. It's a sequel film to Corrie ten Boom's The Hiding Place.
Oh, okay.
Now, if anybody is familiar with Corrie ten Boom, she basically carries a name, and I think it's kind of like the modern day Paul. It doesn't end. She's very recognizable. But the sequel film is also a true story, and it's of one of the youth workers that worked with her. Just like Hitler had his youth army, she had her youth people working with her. And in the unofficial underground, the Dutch family that she had, they were hiding the Jews in the home, as you know, and according to the story, we know that 4 family members died and there were 6 left in that little hiding space. He was one of them that the film is based on, is one of the Holocaust survivors. His name is Hans Pollet, and he died in 2003 and was actually friends with the director, so we got to work directly with him and got to go through the book. We got some footage on him, and the film is based on youth having to make a decision overnight between life as they knew it was being changed now. They were going to follow Hitler or basically follow Christ. And you see this unbelievable turn of events because it happened that quickly. And, you know, it crept up, but then boom, the decision had to be made. So you get to see the life events of this young man and what happened. And he survived. He was in a concentration camp. And you get to see him with his beautiful wife, you know, actually back then it was just his girlfriend. And then you see his best friend, Pete Hartog, who also was actually a victim of the Holocaust. And you'll see what happens in the film. But that's just, it's a very well-known story, but you get to see it play out. It will knock you off your stool, because the incredible thing about it, not only do we have John Rhys Davies, who's a world-renowned actor, but the up-and-coming actors in this film, you can't believe the talent. They're amazing to represent these beautiful real-life people, and it's won several awards at the incredible Sundance Film Festival. We had to turn 700 people away because the theater was that packed. So can I get a witness? The trailer is on hide-movie.com. You can even go on there and request the film to be in your area. So kind of, I'm so excited.
Now, was it filmed here in Atlanta? Where was it filmed?
It was filmed in The Hiding Place. In the Hiding Place of Holland.
So it filmed on location.
In Harlem, which is where Corrie ten Boom lived. And the film, when she did hers, they couldn't get the big cameras back then in the 70s into the home, so they had to, you know, superimpose the home in another situation. This was actually in the home for some of it. The other was filmed, part of it was filmed in Holland, Michigan, which is almost a replica of Holland itself. So it was filmed in a couple of locations. Mimi Sagadan plays Corrie ten Boom, and David Jenkins plays Hans Pollet, and I could go on, but it is absolutely a must-see. God Is Not Dead is good, so is Return to the Hiding Place. Wait till you see this.
I've been hearing a lot about God Is Not Dead.
I have to. I know. Well, there's just been a turn, I think, of movies that recognize God as a higher power. And I don't know about you, but that makes me very excited about there being a light. You know, him saying, you know, I'm a light. So I feel like there's something to it. Can you speak to me?
You know, I think part of it too is people are hungry for truth.
Absolutely.
And I think we're getting tired of what we're seeing on television and film. It gets old because how many ways can you invent killing a body?
I mean, really.
I'm like, as many murderers.
It's called action, okay?
Seriously, I know. I was like, how many ways can we use a knife? It gets old after a while, and there are hurting people. People, we know that the divorce rate is huge.
Let me tell you.
Our kids are in trouble. drugs in every culture. We in the United States have the highest use of antidepressants and every kind of drug there is. 98% from what I understand worldwide is right here in America for antidepressants. Yeah, I learned that from some medical people in my life.
And I had read that. Don't you find it interesting? We're in the country as rich as we are. We have everything that we can possibly think of. I mean, we have more clothes, more shoes, more everything. But yet we're not happy. Why?
Well, the stilettos can't be high enough for those problems of reaching God, right? You know, part of it, I think, is we aren't left to having nothing, to actually have to learn what it is to you know, when I think of the story of the hiding place, they had nothing but their faith. When you talk about scary, you had all of this government stuff happening around you, and it was encroaching in, and then they had to figure out a way to survive on faith alone. I think there's a lot of money in prescription drugs. I don't think there's any secret to that. It's easy to default onto something that we think will help guide us through without dealing with the issues. So with that, I think there becomes too much of a, oh, hey, try this pill and let's go do this and that. And when we look back in God's Word, they didn't have that. They had their words they had to speak with faith.
With faith.
God spoke the world into existence. Why wouldn't words be powerful? If we're held together by sound waves and there's light waves everywhere, that means something. That means now those things are pertinent to here. So I don't think we exhaust all of the resources that God has given us first before we go on to man's way. And I'm not knocking medication, because sometimes it really has helped people. There are people who truly do have chemical imbalances. I have them in my life. People I work closely with. There are rare exceptions. But for the most part, I think we use it as a first solution rather than last.
Wow. And you know, God gives us the opportunity of choice. And so if we choose something else besides Him, He's going to let us run that that course. But we always find ourselves back.
The cry is still in the heart. It's still screaming to get out the answer. We know that strongholds, they are tough. Strongholds are tough to, they're tough to overcome. That requires sitting, studying God's Word. It means looking introspectively into generational curses in our life. The men and women in our lives. We have so many broken homes. How does divorce or absent fathers and mothers affect what's happening? We know people are being sexually molested at what kind of rate? Crazy.
It is crazy.
Crazy. And then things happening in the schools now.
Sex trafficking.
Sex trafficking.
That is something. That just breaks my heart.
Yep. The sex trafficking is probably, when I found out Atlanta is one of the biggies.
Is there something?
One of the biggest hubs is what the statistics
We
say.
have to be aware, too. From what I'm understanding, because they're all around us, we really have to use the spirit of discernment to pick out those, especially young ladies. We can't forget the guys that are in that too. And you know, that's male and female. And the younger they are, the more we might not believe that that child that's got his head bowed, you know, down at the table next to us might be someone that's just been swiped from their parents and is feeling trapped and terrified. Oh yeah.
To say anything.
Absolutely. Well, and everything that you've touched upon just really brings us back to the role of women, you know, and that's what we've been talking about all night long is how we've had phenomenal women and how women teach other women. So when you say be aware, and even teaching, you know, I have young women in my life, I have young daughters, teaching them what to look for, what to avoid, how to dress, things, all kinds of things.
Can we go on
just to be alert? I mean, this is a topic in and of itself, okay?
Like Titus.
Okay. But the mothers have to be taught to dress first. I'm just saying. Okay, let's just, if we're going to be talking raw and real here.
You're right.
You look at the daughter, sometimes you look at the mom and her skirt's shorter than the daughter. Or too tight. You know, we don't realize the provocative appeal that is to men and even to women, how they feel about themselves. You know, I love modesty. I'm probably more modest than most. I'd be the one at the beach all covered up. Boring. So boring. Yes, but that's probably the biggest thing is modesty. You know, we look in God's Word, and there was a lot to say about dress.
And that takes you back to knowing God's Word, studying God's Word, so that we're equipped to teach.
Absolutely.
You know?
Oh, yeah. We all need that discipler in our life. I'm very blessed to have one. I'm under Jerry Sisk, who is the bomb. Yes, I've tried to get her on this program a few times. She's very humble. She's probably the foremost teacher I have found ever in America. I mean,
really?
Yeah, she's got quite a following. Very stealth. She's very stealth with that ministry. But one of the big things she has taught throughout the years is the examples of women in the Bible, what to do and what not to do. She's probably one of the few living examples in my life that I could follow almost to the T of how she lives. You know, there aren't very many of those women out there that are role models. And we're it. We're it. And it doesn't mean we don't struggle and that we shouldn't overcome, you know, but we have to keep mindful that eyes are watching. I can't believe how many people write me on Facebook and say, I've been following you for 2 years. Can I tell you what an inspiration this post was or that post? And I think, I didn't know they were watching.
I know.
They never commented, never liked, never said anything.
It's kind of a weird feeling, too, to me.
Kind of a good stalking.
Yeah.
They're good stalkers.
Better than that other kind.
I don't like that. Not the creepy stalkers.
Absolutely.
So tell me your favorites in God's Word. You look like you're itching to talk about women of the Bible.
Well, we are, but we're going to go to the phones in a little bit, and when we come back, we're going to talk about that. Yes, and right now we're going to talk briefly about prayer, because we're getting ready to go to the prayer room in a little bit.
Yeah, well, and the power of prayer and praying women. You know, how many of us have had praying grandmothers, praying mothers who have interceded on our behalf, and because of that intercession and because of that covering, we were able to break through.
And the results we see in our life now, knowing that our mothers have been on their knees.
But now we're the women that are praying for the younger generation. Yeah, we're the women now.
Right.
It's us.
True.
Yes.
True.
Yes.
Praying for each other.
Yes.
Any example.
Yes.
Business and otherwise.
Yes.
Women are having to be more of the leaders in our culture now because of what has happened with many divided homes. And I'm excited because women are finally being recognized. Salaries are going up a little. We still have that thing.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, but you know, a very wise woman I knew said, I've never understood that being a wife and a mother is being less than. The wife and a mother is huge. That was a quote from Jerry. She said that. It was very striking because so many women feel if they're in the home, it's not good enough if they're not making big bucks. And girls,
but those roles are so critical.
It's the role. It's the most important role. That's the one. Whether you're a single mom or whether you're married or 1 kid or 10.
That's it. And then some of us who even don't have children take on other children.
Right.
So.
Yes, that would be me. Single, happy, love it. But
I've seen your babies.
I've got 2 4-legged daughters that were born that way. Yes. I do have that mother's heart, though. So I feel it for other women's children when they come to me and say, can I talk to you? Yes. And I love it when they do that. It means if they can't talk to their mama, they don't feel comfortable. They're trusting me with that. I take that. Oh, that's a treasure. I carry that in my heart because I think, oh, that baby thinks that I'll tell her wisdom and I'm safe. You know, we need to be in that position to do it.
Well, now we're going to go to the phones, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of our favorite women in the Bible.
Awesome.